Good morning. This is Cecil in Blues. Thank you for joining me for this Final Fantasy XIV video. Today I am recapping the keynote address from the European Fan Festival, which aired overnight. I posted my predictions last night on what it was I was sure we'd hear about, and we did hear about those things. Most of them. Everything except for crafting, so if you're holding out for crafting information, you ain't gonna get any of that today. Though I was surprised by the context of the rest of the information, so let's get into it. Starting from the top of the presentation, we got an expanded trailer. You can find this trailer on the Final Fantasy XIV YouTube page already. I will put a link in the video description below if you want to jump over to that. The trailer reveals, rather surprisingly, that we will be traveling beyond Alamigo to the continent of Othard and liberating the Domans from Empire rule in addition to liberating the Alamegans. So I'm excited about this new continent, but I'm a little disappointed that it splits our focus of the storytelling for Stormblood. I was looking forward to a mature storyline about rebellion and occupation, fighting an entrenched foe and trying to win the respect of the population to overthrow their ruling government. Though now that I really think more about it, that's kind of what the actual story of Ishgard was about. So, it makes sense that they don't want to just tell that same story over and over again. Instead, it seems like what we will be doing is pushing the Empire back in a dramatic campaign as we level up from 60 to 70, just pushing straight past Alamigo and into Doman. And that's pretty cool. On the surface, it seems like it's going to be a way more heroic story than the Heavensward leveling story was. More of the conquering hero instead of the pragmatic negotiator. But maybe I'm just getting a little bit too much up my own butt. Let's move on to the star of the show. Within this trailer, the samurai job is confirmed, which is where Yoshida picked up when he took the stage. Samurai will be a new melee DPS role, meaning we are getting 2 new DPS jobs in Stormblood. Strength is the Samurai's primary stat, and it will share gear with the monks. Samurai will learn the traditional Far Eastern sword techniques and master the 3 forces of the art of Sen: Setsu, Getsu, and Ka, or Snow, Moon, and Flower. The samurai will store energy in their blade and use it to unleash special attacks. So, here is my take on this. It will be a stance-based rotation like monks, but instead of building and maintaining a buff like Grease Lightning for monks, instead the samurai's rotation is going to be about building a buff and then spending it based, and then rebuilding it back up and spending it, and that's going to be the rotation. Again, this is speculation. We don't know any details, but they did show some animations, and based on the length of one of the animations of those special attacks in that short gameplay video, I kind of suspect that there may be some cast time effects in the samurai's rotation, which would be unique to a melee DPS job. And they talked about how timing your attacks is going to be important for the samurai to be played effectively, and that kind of scans with me, because if you've got a long animation lock attack, like as a monk, like for example, if I hit Tornado Kick, I can move away from the target if an effect causes me to move, and the animation's still going to play out and the damage is still going to be done. But as say a black mage, if you're in the middle of casting Fireball and you suddenly have to move, you interrupt your cast and that spell never gets it gets interrupted and you don't get to do that damage. So I think they're going to put some long cast times into the samurai rotation, which is interesting. I don't know if it's a good idea, but it's definitely interesting. So, with only 2 new jobs being added, and only DPS roles being added, there is a general fear that we will lose all our tanks and healers. The Development team feels that this should not impact the party matching too harshly, as their data showed minimal impact on the number of players in tank and healing roles after introducing Dark Knight and Astrologian. So I don't I don't subscribe to this theory myself. I expect queues to pretty much suck during Stormblood's release window. Eventually it's going to shake out. Players who like playing tanks are going to play tanks. Players who like playing healers are going to play healers. But certainly at the beginning, it's going to be all DPS all the time, and I don't know how the development team plans to address that. If dungeons aren't required as part of the main story, then it won't matter. It'll be an option. But if we have to run dungeons as part of the main story, the fact that large portions of the community is going to be trying out these new jobs, that's gonna hurt. A brief note on red mages. They did not talk anymore about red mages in this presentation, and as such, they did not circle back to confirming what a red mage's primary stat is. I assume this may be because they haven't actually decided whether they want it to be dexterity or intellect, or to put it more simply, I don't know aesthetically if they want red mages to share gear with black mages and summoners, or bards and machinists, or even ninja. Like, from a game balance standpoint, ninja would be the right choice, because then you'd have every set of gear having, a shared pool of people who can wear it. But from an aesthetic standpoint, red mages have a fairly unique dress code in the Final Fantasy universe. It more aligns with how bards are presented in Final Fantasy XIV. I don't know how they're going to address this, each choice in its own way is going to be odd. So I don't know what their final decision will be. Perhaps they will have red mages have their own set of gear with a unique stat weight, which would be interesting, again, and different, but I don't know if it's a good idea. So we'll still have to wait to hear more about that. After this big reveal, Yoshi P went over the previous features and provided no additional context, just like at the Tokyo Fan Festival. No additional context or detail on these previously announced points. So I'm just going to breeze past them. I'm not going to talk about them right now. The next major section of the presentation focused on the continent of Othard and the zones that we will be able to explore. Starting with the Doman capital city of Kugane, which is going to be the base of operations for the player, at least once we get to Doman. I feel like the structure here is going to be we start in Alamigo for a few levels, maybe 60 to 65, and then we're going to move over to the other continent and level from 65 to 70. Slide that bar to the left or the right, depending on how much content is there. But I feel like it's going to be like mid-season finale and then finale, and then we'll get into the late game. But they also showed different. So the city of Kugane it's a city that is artistically similar to the historical Japanese architecture, which is expected. It's described as far eastern. It's an island city off the eastern coast of a large continent. Sounds pretty similar to a certain country that is the nationality of the company that produces this game. So, good for them, and including their culture in this game. It's good deal. They showed screenshots of the other zones. Not super interested in this. They're pretty artistically, yes, great, but not a lot of detail, not a lot of context. One thing that did pop up again, they mentioned challenging dungeons. Again, no context, but this is not the first time that they've mentioned challenging dungeons, and I'm interested with their insistence on the use of that word, because dungeons in Final Fantasy XIV are fun, they're well structured, they flow really well, they have interesting mechanics, but I would never use the word challenging to describe them. So I'm not opposed to the idea, but I would like to know more about why they believe challenging is the right way to describe their new dungeons. I don't know if it's going to be an option, it's going to be a slider, or if it's going to be the default position. Everyone in the game is just going to have to adjust to a new normal where dungeons are as hard as raids. Um, I guess we'll find out. No additional information at this time. We were introduced to the second beast tribe also as they went over these zones. It is a tribe known as the Kojin. They are a tortoise-like beast tribe who are generally friendly with the other races and are skilled traders. They are amphibious and they have settlements on the shore and underwater. In the trailer, you do see an underwater pagoda. I assume that it is connected to this tribe. They practice what is essentially the Shinto religion, and their primal is Susanoo, Lord of the Revel, who looked like a big giant, like, I don't know, like the Silver Samurai from X-Men. He is a Final Fantasy XIV original primal, and now that I say that, I realize that basically I described Ravana only silver. So yeah, he kind of reminds me of Ravan. All right, moving on. The next section of the presentation introduced the new housing area. And had you asked me to predict where the new housing area was going to be yesterday, I'd have never guessed that it would be located in Doma. But it seems pretty obvious in the context of this presentation. So the housing ward is named Shirogane, and the plots will not be immediately available for sale at the launch of Stormblood. This is to allow all players a chance to level up and gain access to this area before they go on sale. They will be implementing a system that will allow players to move their existing houses to a new plot of land for players who want to buy in the new zone or maybe want to switch residential areas when plots become available from people moving to the new zone. They will also be, at this time, doubling the amount of decor that you can place inside your house, which could have put a strain on 32-bit systems. Again, like this is the advancement of technology kind of as a result of eliminating the PS3 from their development restrictions. So now that PS3s aren't holding them back, they can feature more graphically intense situations. The final segment of the presentation focused on the theme of Stormblood. They brought Nobuyumatsu up on stage, and they played Revolutions featuring the vocals of Susan Calloway. Yoshida suggested that the live stream was the only way you would be able to hear this song. I would like to amend that to hear this song today, because it's the theme of the expansion. It's going to be everywhere. At the bare minimum, it will be in the game. So, if you want to hear this song today, well then, yeah, you're probably gonna have to pick up the live stream or find someone on YouTube who doesn't care about their channel getting DCMA'd. But I'd say don't panic. You'll hear that song eventually. And that was the entire content of the presentation. Really, just like 4 primary features. No new details on how the combat system is being changed. No new details on the expansion of the inventory system. And that's disappointing, but it's not unexpected. That's kind of how these presentations have gone. There is a live letter at the same time tomorrow. It will be a Q&A like the Las Vegas live letter was. It will have a focus on 3.55. I imagine Stormblood questions are going to be completely off limits. We will learn more about Stormblood in the upcoming live letters in April and June. We'll probably also get some interviews in the back room from magazines and other journalists, web journalists and print journalists that may answer some additional questions. They may be able to squeeze some extra information out of Yoshi P. So look forward to that over the coming week or two. and then it's the live letters. Hang out for the live letters to get more details. But even then, like, I expect most of these features to continue to be presented more as broad concepts and mysterious until we actually get patch notes. If you think back to Heaven's Ward, like, we know as much currently about how to play Red Mage and how to play Samurai as we really did on how to play Machinist and Dark Knight and Astrologian up until we got those patch notes in our hands. So, who knows? Who knows? I'm still looking forward to the hype cycle that's going to build up to this expansion. I'm excited at the vast amount of content that's coming in, huge new areas to explore. I'm looking forward to how we're going to move about that area, whether it's going to be a contiguous zone. I don't think so. There was people mentioning it was going to be a contiguous zone, but I don't believe Yoshi P said that on stage. So that would be quite a surprise. Given the way that Final Fantasy is currently structured, there'll definitely be flying in the new zones, and we'll get swimming and all sorts of fun stuff like that. It'll be a world to explore and a story that should be fairly far-reaching. So for now, I'm going to get some sleep. I'm kind of rambling because I've been up all night. I'd like to get into bed before the sun starts shining in my window too much. I will see you back here tomorrow if you'd like to join me for a recap of anything meaningful that comes out of the live letter. You can also follow me on Twitter at itsboats for whatever I feel like tweeting. I'm going to probably be asleep most of the day today. Fortunately, it sounds like it's raining outside, which is a rarity in the desert, but that should keep the sun hidden for a considerable amount of time. I'm very excited about that. All right, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a great day.